"I loved you," Everett whispered, kneeling beside her. The dirt had reached Lena's chest. Her limbs were too heavy to move. Family voices rose in unison. "The Blackwoods endure." She stared at the cellar window, at the harvest moon, knowing it would be the last thing she ever saw. And then,
The harvest moon. The oak-paneled study smelled of leather, whiskey, and something older, something earthy and primal that Lena couldn't quite place. Outside the window, Vermont hills rolled into darkness beneath a pregnant autumn moon. 6 months ago, she would have been in a Manhattan high-rise, perfume masking nervous sweat as she smiled at another client. Now she watched Everett stoke the fire, his aristocratic profile outlined in amber light. "More wine?" he asked, the crystal decanter catching the firelight. His family estate creaked and settled around them like a living thing. "Please." Her voice was steady despite the flutter in her chest. Tonight was the night. After months of careful omissions, she would tell him everything. Everett poured generously, his Yale signet ring clicking against the glass. At 34, he carried the easy confidence of old money. But unlike the others she'd known, his eyes held genuine warmth. His family had owned this land since before the Revolutionary War, he'd told her proudly on their first date. "The Blackwoods endure," he'd said with a curious smile. "You seem distracted," he said now, settling beside her on the leather sofa. His hand found her knee, warm and reassuring. Lena took a fortifying sip of Bordeaux. "Everett, there's something I need to tell you, something about my past." The grandfather clock in the hall ticked accusingly. "I'm listening." His thumb traced small circles on her knee. She'd rehearsed this confession countless times since they'd met at the gallery opening. Everett had approached her so confidently, asking thoughtful questions about the photography exhibit. When she'd mentioned she was new to Vermont, seeking a quieter life, something in his eyes had lit up. "Fresh starts are what this country was built on," he'd said. Now, taking a deep breath, she began. "Before moving here, I worked as an escort in New York." The confession hung between them. Lena watched his face, waiting for the familiar expressions: shock, disgust, or that particularly awful form of male curiosity. Everett's fingers stilled on her knee. "I see. It was high-end, very discreet. I was saving for art school, and then it just became my life for a while." The words tumbled out faster now. "I'm not ashamed, but I understand if this changes things between us." Firelight danced across his aristocratic features. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Not the tight, judgmental smile she'd braced for, but something almost relieved. "Funny," he said, refilling her glass with meticulous care. "There's something I need to tell you, too." A weight lifted from her shoulders. Whatever his confession, a divorce, a criminal record, it couldn't be worse than what she'd carried. "The Blackwood family has a tradition." Everett set down the wine bottle and leaned back, studying her face. "More accurately, a curse." She laughed nervously. "A curse? Like what? Bad luck in business?" "No." His smile remained, but his eyes had turned serious. "Every generation, a sacrifice must be made. A woman the Blackwood heir loves must be given to the land." Lena's smile faltered. "That's an unusual way to propose." "I'm not proposing, Lena." He took her hand, tracing her lifeline with his thumb. "I'm explaining why I can't. My great-grandfather tried to break the cycle. He refused to complete the ritual." Everett's voice dropped. Within a week, his brothers, sisters, mother, all dead, horrible deaths. His wife was pregnant. The baby was born disfigured, lived 3 agonizing days. The fire popped loudly, making her jump. "You're serious?" It wasn't a question. Something in his tone had shifted, something primal and certain. "Since 1788, The tradition has continued, one sacrifice every generation. The family prospers, the land yields, the Blackwoods endure. The wine turned sour in her mouth. This is insane, Everett. I thought so too. When my father told me, I laughed. His grip on her hand tightened almost imperceptibly. Until I saw what happened to my cousin Thomas when he tried running away with his fiancée rather than selecting someone else. A floorboard creaked overhead, the house settling surely. Lena pulled her hand away. I should go. It's getting late. You don't understand, Lena. Everett's voice was soft, almost apologetic. I've been searching for someone whose disappearance wouldn't cause too many questions, someone new to the area, someone without deep roots. The room seemed to contract. The wine, her limbs felt weighted. Someone with a past they're running from. His eyes never left hers. When you told me about changing careers, starting fresh, I knew you were the one. You're scaring me. She stood unsteady. I'm calling a cab. Your phone is in my desk drawer, and I'm afraid the roads are blocked. The family is arriving for the equinox gathering. As if on cue, headlights swept across the windows. A car engine shut off, then another. You're insane. She backed toward the door. I'm leaving. The doors are locked, Lena. He hadn't moved from the sofa, watching her with something like pity. It's not personal, it's blood. She ran anyway, through the dining room with its ancestral portraits, eyes following her movement. To the front door, locked, as he'd promised. The doorknob turned freely, but the door itself wouldn't budge, as though sealed by more than mere mechanics. Outside, car doors slammed. Voices murmured. Footsteps in the foyer. Everett? We're here. A woman's voice, refined and pleasant. In the study, Mother, he called, still not rising from his seat. Panicking, Lena fled toward the kitchen, seeking another exit. The drugs in the wine were taking effect. Her movements felt underwater slow. The vast kitchen with its copper pots and ancient hearth offered a back door, also immovable, and windows that wouldn't break despite her desperate attempts with a cast iron pan. They're sealed with more than glass, came Everett's voice from the doorway. The whole house is protected on equinox night. Behind him stood an elegant older woman, her silver hair swept into a chignon. Her smile was Everett's exactly. You must be Lena. I'm Eleanor Blackwood. Help me, Lena pleaded. Your son is sick. He needs help. Eleanor's smile never faltered. Every family has its obligations, dear. Ours are simply more ancestral. More figures appeared in the doorway. A tall man with Everett's jawline, two younger women in expensive sweaters, all with the same calm, apologetic expressions. The moon rises in 3 hours, said the tall man. Everett's uncle, she guessed. We should prepare. Later, Lena would recall only fragments. Being led upstairs, too drugged to fight effectively. A room with white walls and hardwood floors, emptied of furniture, changing her into a simple white dress while female family members murmured reassurances. It will be painless, promised a cousin whose name she couldn't remember. The land will welcome you, whispered Everett's aunt, pinning Lena's hair with flowers. Throughout, Everett remained tender, almost loving. You're saving all of us, he explained, helping her drink water when the drugs made her mouth dry. Without you, children would die. The family would wither. The sky outside darkened to deep blue, then black. The harvest moon rose enormous over the hills. Somewhere in the house, singing began, a low, harmonious chant that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. Her survival instincts finally overrode the drugs. When Eleanor came to check on her, Lena lunged, scratching and clawing. She made it to the hallway before strong arms caught her. please, she sobbed as Everett and his uncle restrained her. I have family. People will look for me. No, they won't, Everett said gently. You told me yourself. You left that life behind. No connections, a fresh start. The worst part was his expression, genuine regret mixed with resolve. He truly believed he had no choice. They took her to the cellar. Ancient stone walls, earth floor, candles in iron holders. The entire Blackwood family, 23 members, she counted desperately, stood in a circle, holding hands. At the center, a depression in the dirt, lined with autumn flowers and herbs. The land must be fed, intoned Eleanor. The covenant must be honored. The Blackwoods endure, responded the family in unison. Lena fought until the very end, even as they lowered her into the shallow depression, even as they began covering her with rich black soil, starting at her feet. The earth was cool against her skin, heavier than she'd imagined. I loved you, Everett whispered, kneeling beside her. That part wasn't a lie. It had to be someone I truly loved. The soil reached her chest now. Family members worked methodically, murmuring prayers in a language that predated their ancestors' arrival in America. As dirt covered her neck, Lena felt something beneath her, not just soil, but movement. The ground itself seemed to pulse with hunger. Her last sight was the harvest moon through the cellar's small window, and Everett's face, tears streaming as he completed his family obligation. The dirt covered her face, and the land drank deep. Spring came late to Vermont that year, but when it arrived, it brought unprecedented abundance. The Blackwood orchards produced record harvests. Their investments flourished. A baby was born to Everett's cousin, healthy, perfect. In the private cemetery on the hill, a new headstone appeared, bearing only a single name, Lena, no dates, no epitaph, and in the master bedroom of the main house, Everett Blackwood scrolled through dating profiles on his laptop, searching for someone new to the area, someone seeking a fresh start, someone whose disappearance wouldn't raise too many questions. The Blackwoods would endure. They always did.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.